news for you. Yes, I do. I'm like your angel of love, girl. I've come to see you through. So when you cry, let me wipe your tears. When you're scared, I wanna be there to calm your fears. When you're in need, baby, ring my phone. I'll run right over and we'll make love all night long.
Yo. What's cracking?
Good evening, gentlemen.
I'm like, can y'all hear me? Y'all was looking at me like
Glenn, why they look like
before you get this for you before you get this out, I brought this for you.
Mounted police singing group.
Hey,
you know how the Canadian Mounties had a hat, so
Mounties.
Hey,
They're the Mounties.
I don't know what you're getting ready to say, but before you do, I brought you something. That's
looking like Dudley Do Right.
I know, it's like, we didn't get the memo about the dress tonight, the hat and the Mountie uniform. All y'all need is the horse. That's all you're missing.
It's actually parked outside.
I got a horse.
Raj, I'm gonna send you a picture of Dudley Do Right to put on during the show.
You remember the wrestler, the Mountie?
Right.
All right. I see what we're doing.
Outfit like Rob got on.
I see what we're doing.
You got jokes.
That's what we're doing.
No.
How y'all doing despite Mel's attacks already? How y'all doing?
Ain't nobody attacked you.
That was an attack on my hat.
Just because you got the hat like Raiden on Mortal Kombat.
Wait a minute, Glenn. He said it wasn't an attack and then attacked again. Hey man, how y'all doing? I should have wore a baseball cap like Mel. Uh-oh.
I'm excited because of who we got on the show tonight.
Is that right? Yeah, you should be. We actually get a celebrity.
It was funny. His premiere just happened at Sundance too.
Is that right?
John Wick. I mean, not at Sundance, at South by Southwest. They do like a surprise.
Like who?
That's funny.
The new movie.
Hey man, well,
fresh from Austin, Texas, he joins us.
Well, since that's what's going on, then I say let's not belabor it. And Roger, I think we have something special for our celebrity guest this week. So let it ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the cave. Mr. Dave Roberson. He's been a little busy.
Ready, John?
Yeah. Welcome back, Mr. Wick.
I think that has moved ahead to the best intro yet.
Man, I was liking that.
That is funny.
That's better than my forced contract intro.
So clearly, Raj has lost every job that he has. Nobody's asked him to do anything. He's got 24 hours in the day.
Hey, he got to have a lot of time on Dave.
Hey, Dave, that's what happens when you're under house arrest.
Raj, I appreciate you, brother. I've been waiting a long time to get an intro, man. So I finally feel official, man.
Raj was like, "Hey, I got an intro for your brother tonight, man. I've been holding on to it." I'm like, all right, cool.
Hey, Dave, this is the fruit of electronic monitoring.
That's what's up, man. Perfect timing. The movie coming out next week. So
right. You got a fly new haircut that I noticed I hadn't said nothing about. You got a whole new look going on. So
I'm trying to make it do what it do, man.
Home incarceration isn't productive.
Thank you, June. I appreciate you for the shout out. What's up, TJ? Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Roberson. Hey man, how y'all doing, man?
Doing real good, man.
Good. Anybody been watching the games? Anybody been watching? It's March Madness. It's a man holiday. It's a guy holiday. Today and tomorrow.
Princeton.
I know. Check it out. Busted my bracket up.
I got accepted to them. I put them in my bracket. I didn't think they was gonna win, but I'm like, I got accepted to Princeton. I'm picking them.
Hey, I'm a football dude, so I don't know nothing that's going on right now with March Madness.
So I got to give a shout out to the Missouri Tigers, man, Mizzou, representing my boy Dennis Gates, high school teammate of Whitney Young. He's the head coach there now. Yeah, had a phenomenal first year. They've been pretty bad the past few years, but pulled it off this year and actually just got a contract extension. So he's making some pretty big bucks over there too, and rightfully so.
That's some good stuff, man. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, Dennis is a good dude too.
And the real Tigers play tomorrow.
The real Tigers.
I did pick Memphis for the first round. Y'all might get.
I see you.
We getting Purdue. We getting in Purdue's tail in the second round. Mark my word.
That's gonna be some bracket busting if y'all beat Purdue.
We beating Purdue. We beating Purdue.
Big Ten. We'll see.
This is Penny's year. This is Penny's year to do it.
Let me tell you how long it's been, man, since I watched college basketball with any real fervor, man. Mateen Cleaves was playing for Michigan.
Dude, that was 20 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you got the school wrong.
Michigan State.
That was
green and white. That's all I can tell you.
30 years ago.
Yeah. That's the last time, dude, I was into college.
That was like 2000. I remember when they run. I was a baby, but I remember it. They run like 2000.
I think Quentin Lewis and Darius Miles was coming out of college too around that time.
Quentin Richardson.
Quentin Richardson, yeah, and Darius.
Another
Miles.
teammate. He was on that.
The head knockers.
Knuckleheads.
Darius Miles was from Peoria, right?
Think so.
From Peoria. They had that killer team.
Was that, speaking of killer, was that his son involved in that
Alabama?
Same name,
Same name. I don't know. I thought about that too.
Yeah, and I remember wondering, like, man, is that coincidence or?
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of school, elementary school, did you all see the clip, man, of the elementary school in Alabama that now has a rapid deploy safe room in case of a school shooter?
Yeah.
And what exactly does that mean?
Hey, man, it was a room that the teacher could kind of pull and kind of pull out of the wall and put the kids in with no handle on the outside, so that if a shooter came in the room trying to get the kids, it's bulletproof, and then he can't open it from the outside, so it can only be opened from the inside. And the feeling is just, damn, this is what grammar school has become.
Yeah, I saw that, and my thoughts are, we've spent that. I'm imagining it's not cheap. I don't know, and I'm not sure if it was state funded or whatever. With all the deficiencies in our schools, like, I think it's a great idea just because of the climate that we're in. However, I wonder what the schools or neighboring schools, what their computer lab looks like. What resources they have, how old are the textbooks that the children are using. If we could spend that type of money on safety, which is necessary, are we devoting the same type of money to the curriculum and to the education of the children that are in those schools?
Yeah, I think an even added slight could be, what if it is a school that is providing all of that to their students, and now on top of that, while you have maybe some other schools that don't even have the computer equipment, that they have. So there's certainly a financial consideration.
That's a good point, Mel, that you were making, and it kind of made me think about, do they segregate what schools should have this? Meaning, are there in some areas that are maybe not great areas of the city that they focus those funds on? Because I think that
they didn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, the reason I think that's interesting is that I don't think the shootings typically happen in those areas. The shootings I think have been happening in some of those privileged areas.
I don't know, Sean. You think about what was it in Texas? Was that a
Columbine? I mean,
that was Colorado. Columbine.
Yeah. Well, what I think of is how many of us I see, and I have
usually it ain't little black kids running out
it ain't
like
us.
this.
Yeah, it's not us. And since it's not us, I'm thinking, there's probably not a financial delinquency, if you will.
But we know schools are funded by what? Tax dollars.
Tax dollars, yeah.
So the higher the tax bracket, the more money the school's gonna get. So, well, Mel, you were talking about a computer lab. Did they have a computer? Lab.
Computer lab. I don't know if I even did we have one of those? I can't remember. But, so yeah. So that's what I was.
Well, Rob, when you went to school, y'all had an abacus lab.
I gotta set myself up for that.
Hey, look, as soon as I heard his voice, when he said, "Well, Rob," I knew where it was going.
Yeah, I gotta set myself up for that one, but that's okay.
He say your school told time with a sundial.
Yeah. Hey, but I don't know if you guys saw on the news, my grammar school was actually in the news for a good thing with mentoring boys, Dixon Elementary here in Chicago, where one of the teachers took it upon himself to tie and buy ties for the boys. I want to say they were in the 4th grade. And so yeah, I went to that school and graduated. But it was
where's the school, Robert?
So 83rd in St. Lawrence.
So they need ties, or they need money for ties?
They do not need money for ties. It is a way of, helping the boys learn how to tie their ties.
Oh, I was actually being serious. I was like, gonna donate. That's what I was saying.
Well, you can donate to, I mentored the boys over at Greenwood Elementary over in South Holland. And one of my colleagues, Steve James, is talking about doing ties for the boys. And we showed them how to tie ties.
Tie the tie? Nice.
Yes.
We know Steve. We know Steve. You ain't got to mention Steve like we don't know who he is.
He's a friend of the program.
Yeah, you ain't got to mention Steve like we don't know.
But that's his idea. So it's not. I don't want to take it away that it's my idea, but it's his idea that we buy ties for the 3rd graders, and we teach them how to tie ties.
Well, you could start a program with like the hats, right? And you could just do the joint you got on now with the brim, the full brim, and teach them how to.
That's his host hat.
Yes.
There you go,
Dudley
Do-Right. Dudley Do-Right. Oh my God, I haven't seen that.
Now this could be me. It probably is me overthinking it.
It is,
but I'll receive that. But I'm wondering how I would feel because when you're in 3rd grade, you're roughly what, 8 or 9?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering how I would feel if my 9-year-old son came home and told me some random man taught him how to tie a tie when maybe it was just, before I would have thought it was necessary. You know what I'm saying? I'm wondering how that would make me feel. I wonder if maybe there's some other avenues of mentorship that might be, I don't know, less. I don't know. I don't want to say threatening, but
So here's the thing. We actually teach the boys about, which I'm going to use right now, conflict resolution. Mm-hmm. We teach them about.
You're gonna use it right now on this show.
I heard that, Rob. I heard they snuck that in. Sean, when you tell me this, I feel. When you
but you bring up a valid point. But here's the deal, Sean.
Somebody write that down. He said my point was valid. I don't get that a whole lot.
So a lot of times in school, people are coming from a single parent household.
A lot of times, but not all the time.
Yeah, but when we poll, the students, a number of them don't have dads in the household, which is why we show up and support them in those ways, and go through our mentoring program to show, 4 men, we're normally in suit and ties, and giving of our time, because they don't see that. So the other,
oh no, I 100% get it. I'm just saying, I wonder how the dad who's present feels when his son comes home and says, "Hey, guess what? The mentors, taught me how to tie a tie."
Yeah, and I'm thinking for just about any topic that they come up with, somebody could say, "Oh well, I wanted to teach my son and I didn't get a chance to yet." But to counter that, I think a good idea could be if you all had a way to reach out to all of the fathers. Not all of them are going to take you up on it, but be like, "Hey, this is something that we're going to do. Just in case you
Invite
want
them,
to be a
Dave.
part of
Yeah.
it." Yeah, come on too.
Good idea.
yeah, that's a great point, Dave. We actually have some, when we talked about it, because this is the 3rd year that I've been at Greenwood, and we actually now have one father who has joined us, as well. So he's not teaching his kids, or his son rather. Well, I think he does have his son, but he is a part of the program as well. And so it's a great thing that he gets to be with his son, to see, to teach him through, the programs that we go through about showing respect to authority figures, others, et cetera. And so we do have involvement that way, but we haven't always had fathers that had the ability to come and be a part of the program. But we're thankful, and we're going to take this to another school there in South Holland as well. It'll be an older school. So Sean, to your point, I don't know for you all, and I think I asked this in a live, but my dad taught me how to tie my first tie. But there are many people who have not had their fathers to teach them. Now, obviously, there weren't bow ties available. Well, they probably were, but he didn't teach me one of those. He just taught me the regular one. But so let me ask this question of you guys, and I know, Mel, you wear a bow tie as well. When did you get taught how to tie a tie? What age?
A bow tie or a straight tie?
Straight tie. Straight tie.
I went to Catholic school. We did have some clip-ons, but my ties, probably 4th grade, 3rd or 4th grade, I learned how to tie a tie.
Okay. Glenn?
Yep.
I was probably that age too. Probably.
And my dad didn't teach me, and my father was in the house.
See?
Yeah.
And he wasn't mad that I learned.
Right.
And I didn't stick around in Catholic school long enough to learn how to tie a tie, so I was doing the young clip-ons before I left. But
I learned pretty young, and it was something that my dad was into. So. I mean, I was 10 or 11, knowing how to tie a Windsor or a double Windsor, and knowing the difference, and what I'm saying. So
And what I was about to say, I mean, like Mel, my dad was in the house too, but that just wasn't necessarily his thing. He did a lot with his hands, and he taught us a lot of different things. But my brother actually taught me how to tie a tie. So I think it always has to be a father, but and
then every, like you say, Dave, every dad isn't a tie wearer. Could be some dads that are present and actually don't know how to tie a tie because that's not their thing. It just happened to be my dad's thing.
Yeah.
So, and I know that he was proud to teach my brother and I, because it was his thing. If it wasn't, and to Mel's point, if his dad wasn't really into that, it's no different than the corporate dad who's not good with his hands, not being upset at the man who shows his son how to pull a motor. He's like, I
so
can't.
Basically, Robert, the moral of the story that Sean was saying is he just wanted to be the antithesis of your program.
I did not. I just think it might not be in a climate like this where absentee dads, there's so much hypersensitivity about whether the dad is present and this and that. I just don't think it's a bad idea to like Dave said, put that out there, let the dads in the household know what's going on, invite them to be a part of it, and that gives them some heads up in terms of maybe what they want to do themselves with their sons.
But Rob, I do give you credit. We give you a hard time, but I give you a lot of credit for working with the youth because you do a really good job. You're out there working with the young men. I have to say, you're a living example of the Lessons for a Little Boy book.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're out there teaching them the things that they need to be taught. And, and as much as we don't want that stigma, there are a lot of young men in a single family household with a mom that's probably working really hard and doesn't have time to teach them some of those man skills sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey man,
I commend you and Steve for doing that, and all the other gentlemen in it.
Hey man, the youth is I mean, that's a trying demographic, man, especially that look like us. And I mean, I met a guy this week who used to do juvenile probation. And he told me, man, he encountered a 10-year-old that was on probation because he had pistol whipped somebody. 10 years old. So that's a tricky, and then you have the parents that don't want you, disciplining them or calling them to the carpet, or and it's just so many ways, man, that thing can go.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing on this, Ron, is that fortunately the mentoring program that we do is it's overseen by the school social worker.
Yeah.
So she approves everything that we talk about, to make sure that, it makes sense and that we don't have issues where we're talking about something and then a parent comes up and says, you shouldn't have talked to our kid about respecting women, respecting authority, those types of things. Because those are the things that we talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey man, that's a good segue.
Let me jump at that for a second.
Come on.
I think I sent it to y'all on IG either last week or week before last.
Mm-hmm.
There was a father at a town hall meeting or some type of meeting for his school talking about the books that were available in the library to his children. Do you all remember seeing that video?
Tell me more.
They were hypersexual books?
Hypersexual books. His son was like in 6th grade. Not only was it hypersexual, it was homosexual.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which, he was basically saying in 6th grade, we don't need to be teaching our kids how to, perform fellatio. He didn't use those words.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the little boy read excerpts of the book.
Right.
And it's like it was on display at the library.
Yeah.
And when he went to check it out so he could take it back to his dad and show him, the librarian said, "Do you want more like this?" Crazy.
Yeah, I saw that clip too. It was tragic. It was tragic to hear the little boy reading those words out of this book and knowing that he had access to it in his own school's library.
Wow.
That was kind of deep. Hey man, did any of you guys see the post by the female therapist Nicole Lewis, who basically came on Instagram and just bashed her potential male clients and said she was done with male clients because they come in her inbox and they ask her questions related to whether or not she's credible and this that. And what I think is interesting is that she never said that women don't do that. I think that that's a common thing in therapy, period, is that you're looking for a solid match for whatever it is that you're looking to be counseled on. So I found that interesting. But she was, not only was she mean, and it was a couple of days old when I saw it, she left it up there. So she meant it. So it's still on her Instagram page now. And ironically, a female therapist that I know chimed in and kind of called bullshit on it. But she has a right to her feelings, even if she has what I think taken, which is a dysfunctional kind of approach to it. But my question to you guys is, do you think that counseling should, for the most part, be gender specific, or do you think that it should be gender only comes into play depending on what you need counseling on? Mel, you were shaking your head. What talk to me?
No, I think it should be expertise specific. We had the only woman that's ever been on our show, Titani Harris, who has her own mental health facility and therapists under her, but She specializes in Black men, and she's amazing at it. She's amazing at it. So I think it should be expertise specific.
Glenn, you're muted, brother.
You're muted.
My bad. I was trying not to cough. I agree with Mel, and I would question a person, a licensed professional that goes on a rant on social media. If I'm a woman, even whether I want to deal with that person too, you have to really think about that. Your job is to control and help me manage my emotions, and you're getting emotional and showing your emotion in public. What does that say about how you help me?
What was even more fascinating about it, man, it also reeked of something that we've talked about before, about that unwavering community of support women give each other, whether they're right or wrong. We've talked about that. I not only encourage you to find her page and read the post, but then read the comments underneath it. And it is flooded with, "I'm here to stand by you, sis. I'm here all day for this, sis. I'm championing you, sis." And it just reminded me, like, just like you said, Glenn, this is a professional therapist on an emotional rant.
Mm-hmm.
But her community of support network is, they're not thinking whether it's right, wrong, and whatever. They just like, it's a sister, and she got something to say about men's, and I got her back.
But it's
becomes an echo chamber. Go ahead.
No, you're right, Dave. That's exactly what I was about to say. It's social.
I like
media.
that, Dave. Echo chamber. I'm still in that. I'm letting you know I'm still in it. So
got it.
You can be a devil worshiper, and you'll find 3 people that'll agree with you and like your post. You can be like, Satan is my savior, and 3 people will like that post. I guarantee it. 2 of them won't read it, but you post something, they'll like it.
Well, so, that's to me, that's the biggest. I don't blame social media for much, because it's the people and how they use social media. To me, that's the problem.
It's the people and how they use social media.
Oh yeah, it's not the gun; it's who's shooting the gun. You're right.
Right. But one issue I do have is how a fractured message can be so widespread so fast, and then how easily it can find other fractured people that are just looking for somebody that speaks their same fractured language, and the next thing you know, it's steamrolling and it has some momentum simply because social media has such a wide and fast reach.
But I think at some point you got to stop consuming it. It's kind of like toxins. You put toxins in your body, you're not going to be healthy. If you keep consuming the twisted and the bad messages that come on social media, it's going to mess with you mentally after a while. And I know we do it because we have a show and we kind of talk about it, but there's days where I just don't go on, or I don't entertain the stuff that I see.
Hey man, I treat it like red meat. Like if I eat red meat once or twice in the week, I'm probably going to avoid it for the rest of the week and give myself a break from it. And usually if I'm seeing a whole lot of just negative, judgmental, toxic stuff, it becomes a lot easier to just give myself a break from it. But I encourage you guys, man, to find that, or I'll send it to you, and not only read it from her as a professional, read the energy in it about men, and then read the comments underneath. And even if we can circle back to it, and you guys tell me, what you thought. I realize I have some hypersensitivities when it comes to things like that. So, and I'm never adverse to you guys,
You think?
I brought you a gift too. The same gift I brought Mel, Rob. That's for you. I brought that for you.
I couldn't resist.
No, you could. You just didn't. Hey, man. We all remember years ago when Steve Harvey was on his book writing campaign, and he fed women the 90-day rule.
I suffered from that.
About what?
As you take a drink
from that,
Mr. Wick, I didn't hear that. What did you say?
I suffer from that. My wife still won't admit it, but I calculated.
But I'm upset. Well, let me tell you something. Your wife is a G, because I don't have a problem with that philosophy. I have a problem with you speaking it. So if you're still wondering and believing and she won't admit it, I'm all for that. Because a woman can create any rules she wants to. That's hers to manage. When she speaks it to you, to me, that's when it takes on a whole different.
Well, she still live here, so obviously I don't have too much of a problem with it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
I love it.
And all we need to do is figure out somebody with a 10-day rule. Like, okay, you got for every 90-day rule woman, there's a 10-day.
Oh, Glenn, it's some that night day rules out here, but that's not where I was going.
I mean, I'm not saying I know personally, but I'm just saying from what I've heard and discussed and heard from other people, Robert told me.
So Sean, do you have any rules that you vocalize?
Well, let me go where I was going, and then you can come back and y'all won't let me get to the end of the road.
In other words, Sean, I'm asking the questions here, Mel. Shut up.
I'm gonna answer them.
But
Mel.
just for the record, Mel, I'm not a fast sex guy in relationships. I'm not the dude. I'm just saying in terms of what we're talking about. Okay. I'm a guy that, and ladies will vouch for this, that I've dated. That's nothing that I'm ever compelled to rush, because I'm pursuing you. So I know that sex comes with you. So I've never been one who came out of the gate like, oh, you got X amount of time before I get that thing. No, that's
before Dudley Do-Right hops on his horse and gallops off into the
so, y'all gonna get enough of these pictures.
Okay, go ahead, Sean.
We're probably not, but go ahead.
So my point was, what would the dating world be like if all of the different things that men have to present with, or audition with, or show themselves worthy with, they held off for 90 days? What would the world look like if a man was like, I can't open the door for you for 90 days. I can't pay for dinner for 90 days. All of the things that are solid expectations of men. What if all of a sudden we decided, hey, we have to be at a certain level of relationship before I give you that? I don't think it would. And I've been in that situation. I think I've told the story about that situation before, so I won't do it again. But
you have.
You couldn't just let that go, huh, Robert?
Robert, you are on one today. That's
all right.
This is the hat that I made.
It's the spirit of the hat.
I'm gonna find some pictures of Nipplegate and have Roger post that picture every week, and see if we can hang a shirt on your chest on that yellow. But yeah, so I just thought it was interesting that men don't even have that luck. How dare you? We have to come in the gate offering everything up. And I think the dating world would be quite different if men felt like, okay, the women have to show themselves worthy of all of the things that the world has already made expectations of us in the preliminary. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to come out of the gate with these things.
But I think men need to start thinking like that a little bit, because you're worth it too. Like, you're a prize as well as she is. It might not be the prize, but there are things you bring to a relationship, the companionship, the friendship, bringing them some solid resource, some solid base that they can go to. Men provide a lot. I think we underestimate what we bring to a relationship. And we think that the woman basically gets to come in with the rule book and rewrite the rules. So
I don't know that I think we underestimate it. I think we've been so programmed to offer it that it never crosses our mind that maybe it's something that should be withheld until it shows itself serious. I mean, I've had some dinner dates with some ladies that turned out to be on foolishness and nonsense. Had I thought that's where it was going, maybe I wouldn't have invested that way. But that's the expectation that men have. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I also think part of that culture is the fact that sex with women from a man's standpoint is so much painted as this achievement, this reward. You know what I'm saying? And so because it's seen that way, they're able to kind of framework it that way as
Wanda
something that you
McLean
have
said,
to earn.
Wanda McLean said offer coffee dates only. Wanda McLean said coffee dates only, bro.
Listen, we're about to go on this
I
park
know
bench
a
and
lot of
talk
people
about
like
life.
that though. What'd you
We're
say,
about to
Mel?
go sit on this park bench and talk about life. That's what we gonna do. We gonna
I know a lot of people that ain't doing no dinners.
Everything. Mel had a list of expectations. We talked about this last year. This was before you were married. You talked about your list of expectations.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we should have a list of expectations for the woman beyond sex.
Get this Groupon. That's what you're gonna get.
That's what you
I got 4 Groupons. Pick one.
That's it.
Which Groupon you want to use?
Hey, y'all give me grief about not buying drinks, but I mean, I think that's a real thing. Maybe $100 dinner, is 90 days out. We need to hit up this Starbucks like Robert does. We need to hit this Starbucks.
Or we can do Groupons for M Lounge.
Well, I don't drink coffee, but like if you
how about Groupons for Starbucks?
If you order barefoot, you are not the woman for me. You are not the woman for me.
What'd you say, Glenn?
I was like, I don't drink coffee, but if you order barefoot bubbly, you're probably not on the level that I need to be.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic, and we got to it a little late. We probably could have spent the whole show
on this one, right?
Interesting. So I mentioned, my wife and the whole Steve Harvey 90-day thing. Like prior to that, like directly prior to that, I did the whole one night rule thing, whatever that we said at the beginning of this. So I've seen like both extremes. Enjoy both in different ways, but that's a topic.
Hallelujah!
Yeah, I think. I mean, we're talking about whether guys hold off and hold off on the dinners and the different things like that. But there's something to be said of the pursuit. And while we complain about it in different ways and it gets exploited in different ways, to be perfectly honest, I think there's some level of enjoyment to the pursuit and doing all the things that it takes to get something that you feel is worthwhile. So to just hold off and say, I'm not going to pursue for 90 days or I'm not going to do this thing or that thing, I think we might be kind of shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit when we think about what actually serves us in that process.
I don't know, Dave. Nothing pisses a woman off more than acting like you don't want it.
Hey, man, Glenn, that's gospel right there.
You want to piss a woman off and get cursed out and accused of having your sexuality challenged? Turn her down.
The same experience I had where I had the conversation with the lady based on something that she said to me, and I said, well, what if I hadn't paid for any of our dinners? What if I hadn't opened any doors? What if I yada yada yada? And she rethought, her position and was like, I am kind of overreacting. And she confessed that she had some experiences where she allowed sex to happen too soon, and so I was basically getting the residual from what she felt was some poor decisions prior to me. Ironically, I ended things before sex happened. And one of the first things she said to me was, you didn't even wait around long enough for us to have sex.
Mm.
And I was like, so am I like a bad guy because I did that? But that's so much the expectation, because whether, admit it or not, there is an affirming in being pursued. There is an affirming in being longed for sexually or lusted for. You'd rather have it not need it than need it and not have it, and so I think it can be kind of tricky. You certainly don't want to be going out with a guy who don't want none.
No, you don't want to go out with a guy who nobody wants.
No, but I mean, you going out with a guy and he ain't interested in you sexually at all. Like,
but maybe he's trying to get to know your mind. Maybe he has a process and has a 90-day rule. And see, that's what women miss it. Because when women want it, they don't want to hear about your 90 days.
Right.
Y'all don't want to hear about Steve Harvey.
Want it.
Y'all don't want to hear about
and will dog you if you don't give it to him.
Right.
But I've always been the kind of guy who waited. I'm like, okay, what kind of energy am I getting from you? And this just real. What? Remember when we had the there's this other pipe conversation, and then there's the reality of this is the cave, right? There's a reality of if it's good, you know, you got to make sure it ain't somebody that you're gonna hope you can get rid of, based on how that lands on them, you know. And so you could be creating a monster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
freakiest women.
Nothing worse than piped in the wrong plumbing system. There is nothing worse than that. Yes.
There are two type of pipes that a man can give. Okay, I can give the married pipe. That's the married pipe is I want something from this pipe, right? I'm laying a pipe, but I expect some love, interest. I can show you to my boys, okay? That kind. There's expectations from this pipe. But then we all know there's this other pipe that you can lay that has no expectations. And actually, you don't want anybody to know you laid this pipe.
Hey man, let me tell you something. When he says that there's this other pipe,
I know.
And he
right.
leaned
to
in.
lean in.
There's nothing funnier than that ever, man. That is the funniest.
Well,
thank you, Roger. That was right on time.
I like the fact that you don't want others to know
that you laid this pipe. Right.
That you laid that pipe with that one.
It's gonna be hard for others not to know, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, because if that's who she is, she telling somebody.
Yes,
the closest girlfriend. She gonna tell the closest girlfriend,
and then she toes crawl,
blew my back out.
The 6 degrees of separation happened, and then a bunch of people know. And what did they say on Game of Thrones? What did Lord Varys say? If more than 2 people know, it's not a secret; it's information.
There's been a lot of information going on about Robert.
So there's a lot of information now.
Can't always control the other side, but I'm sure we all got a few that we take into the grave, right? Can we be honest?
Hey man,
there you go. That's all I need. That's all I need.
This is some transparency I didn't think I'd ever share, but I remember having a conversation with a lady, and I was a young cat. So, So yeah, I was in my 20s, so I was a lot, more adventurous than I am now. And the lady was at me real hard, and I knew her guy, and I asked her, no. She knew that I was not single, and she said, I said, well, let me ask you something. If somehow this news was to get out and you got like a phone call, how would you handle that phone call? And she said, well, I would tell her she need to have better control of her man.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, okay, let me walk you out. I'm like, if we're gonna break some rules, now we got to be committed to breaking them together. Now you can't be willing to break the rules and then throw my ass under the bus. Like that's not how this is gonna work.
You notice women never want to have a woman to woman talk until after they cheat with the man.
Hey, man.
Right, woman to woman.
Woman to woman. I just want to tell you about Gerald.
Now, wait a minute, Shirley. I'm a young woman. Woman to you. I used to love both those songs. Used to play them back to back all the time. Woman to woman.
I gotta do my side piece and soundtrack. I forgot about that, Mel. I'll do it tonight. You will have your soundtrack.
I like the one cheating in the next room.
Cheating in the next room, Johnny Taylor.
Hey man, along the same lines, I was listening to another female therapist, and she was saying that sex for a man is not a want, it's a need. And that statistically, men's libidos are typically higher than women. And there are roughly about 15% of women who have a higher libido than men. She didn't break it down.
A stage of life, bro.
I was gonna say she didn't break it down from an age standpoint, because I know age has a whole lot to do with it, because to me that's the comedy of the divine, is that he made their sexual energy increase as they get older, and did the reverse in men, and that was just him saying, I got you. But I just found that to be interesting. Do you feel like that, or do you feel like, as I've heard oftentimes, the reason sex is a need for men is because it's a gateway to what they really need, which is the closeness and the intimacy and the vulnerability. So is sex really the need, or is sex perceived as the need because we're really using sex to get the true need, which is the vulnerability, the intimacy? What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, you might have saw all the faces I was making during that, but no, I'm
just want to draw, Dave. It ain't complicated, huh?
Yeah, it's really not. But I'm gonna kick it to the guys and see what they have to say, because
I really wanted you to unpack that, Dave. I like the way you think. So, do you not think that the intimacy and vulnerability and that kind of thing is a need for men, and a need that they can't always comfortably pursue? Do you
I
think
mean, it's cool when it happens, but if it don't,
it's cool.
I
don't need it. I'm not going directly to mail, because I got
a real moment.
This is a Roberson. This is a Roberson Brothers.
There always must be a Roberson in Winterfell.
Yeah, Glenn, what do you think about that? I think that there could be. I think it's probably half and half. I mean, I think sometimes men just want to smash, but I also think a lot of men aren't comfortable saying they need to be held. So they like, come over, let me blow your back out, and then I'll hold you afterwards while the sweat dries. What do you think, Glenn?
Hold me up while I've been yo. No, what was I gonna say? No, I don't think so. I think as you get older, your mental health becomes more important. And if you're a mature man that actually is used to being around women, you can stop acting like a 16-year-old just hitting puberty in his stride, and everything isn't about sex. So
absolutely.
I think your maturity tells you where you are with that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, not that everything is about sex, but sex is a lot about sex. So it's not necessarily vulnerability and all those extra things. Like y'all got me feeling like something is wrong with me, man.
What the hell are y'all talking about? Sex ain't got nothing to do with it. What are we saying here? Dave, what is wrong with these single dudes?
I don't know, man.
Look, get the show right. Make some sense, all right?
I mean,
damn, we just been reprimanded on a live show.
Hey! Don't blame them. This is my question. So don't blame them. I just thought it was interesting that that's the perception of a lot of therapists, is that not like Dave said. I mean, sex is sex, but that a lot of men use sex to get other things that they aren't comfortable asking for.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert, have you ever asked a woman to hold you? Would you come by tonight and just hold me? I mean,
Yeah. And will you wear that dress that you normally wear?
Can you wear those heels?
I just want you to hold me. I just want you to hold me.
It's interesting, Sean, because I spent the majority of time in a sexless marriage, so wasn't something that I signed up for.
Yeah.
But she wasn't dropping them draws after we got married. So it was kind of like
maybe because you asked her like that, Robert.
That has a lot to do with it.
I'm no psychiatrist. My degree is marketing communications, but I think there was a
no card or nothing, Glenn. He ain't, he ain't give a card, no flowers or nothing. Just, hey, babe, I'm coming home. You gonna drop them drawers tonight?
You need to practice conflict resolution, Robert.
Well, that's how I got to the conflict resolution piece. But I so I said all that to say you learn that sex isn't the driver. It's something that we want. As we get older, it's something that we want.
I think that you have to sometimes other things take priority over it. I mean, I was I was in a long relationship and then there was some illness that came into play, and it was a 5-year relationship. The last 3 years, I mean, it was an average of maybe 3 times a year for 3 years, but I tried to prioritize with the relationship and with what the relationship needed from me versus what I wanted out of the relationship. And then I held on to the hope that things would at some point, get better. But I don't think it's uncommon at all that, especially men have to prioritize something else above the sexual dynamic.
Well, I think that I think to that point, I think it's all great, but I think we have to meet our women where they are, from a mental and sexual perspective. Sex has always been glamorized in social media world or in TV world, but sometimes the women that we connect ourselves with may be struggling with some other things that they're trying to get through. And so it may be important to just hold them and become more, intimate with them from a mental perspective, before we go in for the kill.
But I don't think that's ever really been a secret. I mean, that's been something that women have held us to often, especially if you're trying to claim you're serious about her. I think women have held us to that need, pretty much always. You can't just come over here and get that. You gotta.
But how they may have, to your point, Sean, they may have held us to it. But how often do we operate in that? Do we? Because I made a mojito tonight. I'm like, hey, baby, you I've got a couple of drinks.
He's looking at his phone. He about to make a phone call. Look at him.
Well, it depends on the man, Robert. Some men hold fast to it. Some men respect that wish and sate themselves elsewhere, and that's how infidelity
and then they come back to the
right.
To the
so
woman.
it depends on the man and
I get
how
that.
seriously he takes that request or that need or that aspect of the relationship that doesn't look the way he hoped it would look.
But you got to think about sex. You got to think about intimacy, and really, sex is what is about us. Intimacy is about the two of you.
Yep,
absolutely.
What you share and how the two of you are aligned.
Which is why I'm saying oftentimes the belief is that men use sex to get intimacy because they can't just ask for intimacy. A lot of women
can be a lot of different things. It could be I just need to be held. It could.
It could be some vulnerability. It could be some vulnerability. Can I cry in your lap the day beat my ass?
Right.
And I need to cry, and I'm not a crier, but I feel like crying. You know what I'm saying? Like it could look so many different ways, and I think it's true that some men wouldn't necessarily be comfortable making those requests. They might think that.
But if the level of intimacy is there, you can do it.
Well, you got to know your mate.
Request.
You got to know your mate. You got to know your.
I'm practicing. Yeah, I'm practicing celibacy with her. But I'm smashing the other
one. But see, you're not intimate. Having sex isn't being intimate, and you got to.
No, it isn't.
Another difference.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive either, so it's not like
no.
Yeah.
No,
they're not. But men can hit it, quit it, get it.
But women can't, though, right?
No, women can. It's just not.
It may not be their nature, but they can.
Right. It may be disproportionate for us, but
who it is, Dave.
And I'm the woman.
I know some women that are more men than men.
Yeah.
You know, I had a friend tell me, you never heard, and I'm not gonna say the words, but you'll understand what he said. He said, you ain't heard. He said, bees out of new ends. You know?
So women, so men, the lesson from all of this is the 3 Ds: withhold the dating, withhold the dining, and the third one.
I didn't know where you're going.
Door holding.
I'm with you.
Withholding.
Right.
Oh no, Glenn. Dining is multifaceted. Ho! Okay.
We had the freak come out. We do it.
Roger, can you do one thing for me before we get ready to get out of here?
I guess I didn't get to answer that question.
Oh, come on with it.
I'm straight.
No. I want to hear what you got to say.
We're good.
Good. I thought your brother answered for you, honestly. Roger, can you play Dave's intro for me one more time before we get out of here?
That's what we're doing, Sean.
Can we see Dave's intro one more time?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the cave. Mr. Dave Roberson. He's been a little busy.
Ready, John?
Yeah. Welcome back, Mr. Wick.
Wait a minute! I just realized he put Dave's face.
You just realized
that? I was just laughing about the whole John Wick thing, and then I looked.
He did a deep fake.
Yeah.
Deep fake.
Raj, can we follow that up with the Dudley Do Right? Because I feel like that's
only fair.
Hey man, but yours is cool. Mine is mocked. I'm being mocked. Oh, that's pretty funny. Hey man, y'all have been awesome as always. Dave, ain't enough we can say about you, brother. We enjoy it, man, when you come and hang out with us, man. And we got a chance to hang out with both the Roberson brothers for a change. Usually you filling in for your big bro, but we got both of y'all this time, so that was real cool, man. I hope that you all, man, have amazing rests of your week. And I'm looking forward to next Thursday when we convene again. Dave, don't leave. You know how we get out. And until next Thursday, thank you all for hanging out with us. I hope you come back and hang out with us next Thursday at 9 again. It has been Live from the Cave for sure.
Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.